Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Oh, it's such a clutch pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom, too. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
The GOAT!
Save up to 50% with minimum purchase at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You are entering the Stone Zone. Well, the only thing predictable about Donald J. Trump is that he is completely and totally unpredictable. There is no doubt that at least 15 times during the campaign, as well as multiple times since then, he has flatly stated that Iran will not be allowed to have a nuclear bomb. On this, he has been completely consistent. And whether he will choose to use American power to attack Iran to dismantle their nuclear capability remains a question that only he at this juncture knows the answer to. But those who say that he will be ending his presidency, that he will be destroying his legacy if he does make the choice to do so, I disagree with them. I'm an anti-interventionist. I'm anti-war. But at the same time, I recognize the very serious threat posed by homicidal maniacs who have made no secret of their intention to kill Americans and America. Death to America is not just a slogan, it is their philosophy. You see, I believe that only if America got bogged down in a long, endless war as we did in Afghanistan would his governing coalition be destroyed and his legacy be harmed. But Donald Trump, frankly, is much too smart for that. Is it about regime change? No, I don't believe it is. He made it very clear in Riyadh just 10, 12 days ago that foreign policy based on regime change was no longer the standard in America. The neocons who have dominated both parties, it drove us to endless foreign wars where our inherent national interests were not clear, are no longer in control. But the result in Iran could be regime change, only in that those heading the current brutal regime may all be dead. For those who don't think that there is a legitimate resistance in Iran, that's false. I met with two leaders of the resistance who visited from Paris, came to see me only 2 weeks ago. There were supposed to be three of them, but one of the three gentlemen who came to meet me was assassinated between the time the meeting was scheduled and the time they showed up. But there is a viable resistance on the ground. The alternative to the current brutal regime is not just the son of the Shah, but we may get regime change by event rather than by design. Trump's support for Israel cannot be doubted. He is the only Republican president who pledged to move the capital to Jerusalem and then finally did so, even though multiple Republican and Democrat presidents pledged to do so beforehand. I think he's made himself very clear. Here is the bottom line. I trust Donald Trump with this decision, and I will support his decision regardless of whether he decides that it is America's interest to use our power or not. Whether Israel could go it alone from a technological point of view is a legitimate question. I believe that their nuclear weapons development facility is situated in such a way that the capabilities of the Israelis may be insufficient, that it may take one of the 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs to destroy it, although Colonel Douglas McGregor on this show only days ago questioned whether even that technology would work. So I will stick with Donald Trump on this, and I will support whatever he decides, but I do not think that he will commit us to a long, drawn-out, endless war. I think he is way too smart for that. You may remember yesterday we reported that the FBI turned over to Congress evidence that they knew at the FBI that 20,000 fake driver's licenses had been shipped to the United States from China prior to the 2020 election. But it seems like the previous leadership at the FBI, Christopher Wray and company, swept that under the carpet. Wray testified to Congress that he knew of no attempted foreign interference in our 2020 presidential election. That turns out to be completely and totally false. Now we have a new report that tells us that the current administration, the U.S. Justice Department, has ordered the Colorado Secretary of State, Jena Griswold, to hand over all records related to the 2024 federal elections. In a letter to Secretary of State Griswold, the Attorney General wrote, "We recently received a complaint alleging noncompliance by your office concerning the National Voter Registration Act, and that all records related to elections were needed to evaluate that complaint." The Department of Justice specifically said all statutes, regulations, written guidance, internal policies, and database user manuals that set out the procedures Colorado has put in place to retain must be retained and sent to the Justice Department. Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold responded to the order in a statement saying, typically, Donald Trump has weaponized his Department of Justice, targeting his perceived enemies and meddling in state cases to try and free those who supported his big election lie. Griswold said, I will always follow the law and protect our democracy and won't be intimidated by this baseless inquiry. Madam Secretary of State, just hand over the evidence. If you're right, you'll be proven right. I rather doubt that. In March of last year, the Supreme Court of the United States unanimously reversed Secretary of State Griswold's illegal decision to remove President Donald Trump from the state's primary ballot. And in that act, of course, Griswold's bias and her anti-Trump stance is completely and totally revealed. Griswold again came under scrutiny after passwords to the state's voting systems were posted to her office's website immediately prior to the 2024 presidential election. Yet it was Tina Peters, who is no stranger to those who spend any time in the Stone Zone, the 69-year-old former Mesa County clerk, that was prosecuted by the state of Colorado and sentenced to a 9-year sentence for, quote, allowing unauthorized access to voting machines. Recently, President Donald Trump said that Peters is an innocent political prisoner and urged the Department of Justice to secure her release. Unfortunately, however, Peters, who has appeared on this show, is charged and convicted and incarcerated on state charges. And the Department of Justice nor the federal courts have the authority to either pardon her or to order her release. Griswold, in my opinion, has a lot to answer for, and she needs to turn over her records to the federal investigators immediately. We're going to continue to follow this story right here in the Stone Zone. Meanwhile, Donald Trump celebrates his personal project of raising 2 White House flagpoles. President Trump was excited about the White House raising these 2 flagpoles earlier today. It is my great honor to announce that I'll be putting up 2 beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House, north and south lawns, President Trump said on a posting on Truth Social. It is a gift from me of something which was always missing from this magnificent place. Now, there's a certain irony here, because those who will remember that after he bought the palatial Mar-a-Lago property in Palm Beach, the president erected a huge flagpole and put up an American flag that exceeded the size of flags allowed by the county in their local regulations. They ordered Trump to take the flag down. Trump refused to take the flag down, so they fined him. I believe the fine was $1,000 a day. He continued to pay the fine until he ultimately prevailed in court, in which he argued that the flag was protected by his First Amendment rights, and there was no good public purpose for limiting the size of it. As you approach Mar-a-Lago from any direction, you can still see that magnificently large, some would say huge, Trumpian American flag today. The two flag poles construction began at 7:30 this morning. The flags were raised at about 11 o'clock. The president described them, the flag poles that is, as tall, tapered, rust-proof, with the rope inside the pole, and of the highest quality. Hopefully, they will proudly stand on both sides of the White House for many years to come. Now, these two flagpoles on the north lawn and one on the south lawn cost Trump about $50,000 each to complete, all of it paid for out of his own pocket as a gift to the American people. Only if you're in construction is this exciting, Trump said this morning. Speaking of the construction of the poles, you see you have to get it perfectly straight, and once it's perfect, they pour in the sand, and it can be there for 100 years. Trump has taken interest in talking to the construction crews doing the innovation this morning. You could see it on television. He was spotted several times in the past weeks making the rounds and discussing the projects with workers. This reminds me of the Donald Trump that I first met in the 80s, who would go to his construction sites when they were little more than a metal framework. In the Trump organization, it was always a rule that any employee, no matter their level of employment, could get an appointment with Donald Trump if they knew of a better way to do something in their construction area, or if they had a complaint about the quality of the construction materials, anybody could get in to see the boss. He had an open door policy. This is why I think he was such a great businessman and such an icon in the real estate industry. I don't know about the workers, he said, but I love these polls. I would bet all those who voted for Trump, every one of these guys. I've got to get these guys back to work. They're making a fortune, he laughed as he walked away from the construction of the flagpole he was on television talking about. Trump first announced this 100-foot flagpole project would be erected back in April, adding to his other projects, including renovating the Rose Garden by creating a concrete platform, building a ballroom, and redecorating the Oval Office to make it more opulent. The construction projects are personally interesting to the real estate mogul. He's been envisioning how he would reform the White House for many years. It is also notable that in the Oval Office, he replaced a number of the portraits there that had been placed by his predecessor, Joe Biden. And often when you see him on television, you will see the oil portrait of one of our greatest presidents, Ronald Reagan, that is right behind the sofas in the Oval Office. He also includes portraits of other presidents, but just his taking the Reagan portrait from the National Archives and restoring it to the Oval Office tells you that Donald Trump shares my view and many of those here in the Stone Zone, that Ronald Reagan was one of the greatest presidents in our lifetime, and that the historians and academics and others in the liberal media who seek to downplay or denigrate his presidency are fools. He rebuilt confidence in America. He rebuilt our military strength. And it was Ronald Reagan who ultimately put in the policies which brought down the Iron Curtain and ended the brutal rule of the Soviet regime forever. I'm Roger Stone. You're in the Stone Zone. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial, because we'll be right back.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. If you didn't believe that America was in for radical change under Donald Trump, well, here it is. The Border Patrol agents did not release a single migrant into the United States last month, a staggering drop after Biden's administration allowed 62,000 illegal alien border crossers in the country into the country in the month of May. That's 62,000 in May alone. Federal agents caught 8,725 migrants crossing illegally at our southern border last month. That is a 93% decrease from May of 2024, when there were 117,905 people arrested crossing illegally. The acting Customs and Border Protection Commissioner, Pete Flores, said that it is as a result of the Trump administration's tough border policies. Remember when Joe Biden told us that he was powerless to stop the flow of illegals into the country because the Congress would not enact new laws? Remember when Senator James Lankford from Oklahoma put together a so-called bipartisan immigration bill that actually grandfathered 2 million illegals into the country, and where most of the money appropriated in the bill was for the processing of those illegals? And they told us that we were against sealing the border because we were against this monstrosity of a bill. Well, Trump was right and Lankford was wrong. One of the most monumental policy changes made by Trump has been the reversal of Biden's catch and release, which results in millions of illegal aliens being allowed to cross into the country. What is that number? Is it 10 million? Is it 20 million? Some sources I trust tell me it may be as much as 30 million. And that doesn't count the fentanyl, or doesn't count the weapons, it doesn't count the other contraband, not to mention the disease and other things they brought with them. Under the leadership of this administration, the Border Patrol has received historic support from the administration, resulting in a 93% decrease in illegal crossings, according to Director Flores. Border numbers continue to trend downward to historic lows, reinforcing the sustained success of President's efforts at our southern border. Border Patrol agents are nearing their gain of getting full operational control of the southern border with the massive drop in illegal crossings. Under the Biden administration, agents were pulled off the line. They were all busy doing processing, detaining, transporting, and essentially babysitting those who came here illegally. It was unsecure and dangerous, but Biden insisted it had to be that way. President Donald Trump has kept faith with the American people. This has been his highest priority, and now he goes about detaining the most dangerous, the most criminal of the illegals who are in our country. Courts have sought to act him through judicial tyranny, but the president continues to fight to secure America. You're listening to The Stone Zone. We'll be right back with Troy Smith. He is the editor and publisher of Slingshot.news. He's going to talk to us about a stunning report that he has compiled that shows that millions of dollars are being remitted out of the country with the American taxpayers getting nothing. We'll be right back.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone on the Red Apple Audio Networks. We talk politics, news, history, style, fashion, food, you name it. And joining me now is Troy Smith. He is a media entrepreneur. He's the editor and publisher of Slingshot News. He has written an extraordinary new report regarding the issue of remittances. Troy Smith, welcome to the Stone Zone.
Roger, it's always an honor to join you. Congratulations on your great success here on WABC. The shows can't miss, really the best in the business.
All right, many, many thanks, Troy. So you've uncovered that IRS records that there's a minimum of $150 billion transferred outside of the United States each year through remittances or payments sent by immigrants in the United States to people, mostly relatives, but relatives and others outside the United States. But you say that number is actually much higher. What can you tell us?
Well, Roger, this is an issue that I think the American people are probably going to be astounded to learn about. There is a total, Roger, of $300 billion that flows out of our economy here in the United States every single year through remittances. And people probably wonder why they see these money order stations and businesses pop up all over the country. Well, it's a $300 billion industry. And just so people understand that level of money, we're talking about $65 billion, Roger, being the total amount that the U.S. actually issues in foreign aid, meaning that the amount of money that is sent out of this country each year in remittances more than triples the amount of foreign aid that the government hands out each year. So we're not talking about a small figure. And this is money that's being sent outside of the United States at a 0% tax rate. Really unbelievable, Roger, that we don't tax this money being sent out at all. Now, you mentioned $150 billion, $300 billion. It boils down to this. There's about $150 billion in remittances or money sent outside the country that we can track, that the IRS is supposedly, although we're told the tracking is very poor and that these transfers are really rarely audited by the IRS, we're told that $150 billion of it is accounted for, and that at least 100% of that total is remitted each year without being tracked. So $150 billion of this, Roger, is completely untracked. $150 billion is totaling $300 billion leaving our shores with zero to show for the American people.
I see that many countries, including Mexico, create actually a significant amount of their own GDP through these monies transferred from the United States. What percentage of Mexico's gross domestic product is purely through these remittances from the United States?
Well, Roger, a large percentage of the remittances that are sent from the United States end up in Mexico to the tune in 2023 of $63 to $67 billion. Now, that's 4 to 5% of their entire GDP there. And you'll be interested to find, Roger, you go to many third world countries, whether it's Jamaica or other countries around the world, you'll find that large percentage of their economies are made up of people in the United States sending money back, again, at 0% tax. Considering that half of it is completely unaccounted for, Roger, you can see why people like the Mexican president are stepping up and saying it would be immoral to tax remittances because these countries are really making bank off of the people of the United States and our economy in an under-the-table foreign aid program. That's what I would call this. It's really like an under-the-table foreign aid program to the tune of $65 billion a year to Mexico. Just unbelievable.
Now, are there plans to tax remittances in the upcoming Big Beautiful Bill?
Well, Roger, there were plans to tax remittances pushed by the Trump administration in what I think was a fantastic move, a smart move. But I think the figure was far too low. The Trump administration, in the original version of the Big Beautiful Bill, argued that there should be a 5% tax on remittances. Now, I'm told that the GOP Senate has objected to this, and they have instead suggested a 3.5%, and that's the current figure that sits in the Big Beautiful Bill. But there is speculation, Roger, that it will be eliminated completely and that we will have a 0% tax on remittances stayed by rhino congressmen and people in the Senate that really don't stand for their own voters. You know, this is a betrayal of these senators, and I think, Roger, we have to highlight many of them are very wealthy individuals. $10 to $20 billion of the total $300 billion, Roger, ended up in tax havens like Switzerland and the Cayman Islands, places where wealthy individuals have been able to send out unlimited amounts of money at 0% tax. I think that's playing a role here and why these people don't want to tax remittances.
That is an interesting aspect of it. So this is not just immigrants in this country, say, working as a domestic or a gardener, sending money to their relatives back in their country of origin. This is actually being used to move large amounts of money to avoid taxation.
Absolutely. And I think that when we look at you have to ask, why would people within the Senate, within the House, within, say, even the White House, why would they want to lessen the amount of taxation? We researched this for our piece, Roger. The average American pays 33% of their annual earnings in taxes. So can you explain to me why, when we're talking about taxes on money that's sent out of our economy, this is money that's earned here in American jobs and then taken and sent directly out of our economy to the benefit of other countries. And we're not saying that that's immoral or that's wrong. We're saying it's wrong that we don't tax it at all. And I think it's only fair that we should tax these kind of remittances exactly like how we tax the American people. And there's arguments, people say, oh, well, it's a double tax. Well, I just told you that half of it is unaccounted for, $150 billion worth. So no. And not only that, but there's no IRS auditing of this. We talked about this with several people, and the audits on remittances are at best poor. I think we need to double down on monitoring the money that's being sent out short, because who knows? It could be even higher than $300 billion. And we need to get serious about taxing highly, because it's my theory, Roger, that I don't think you would really have to have mass deportations if you ended the incentive for these people to come here, take money from our economy, and send it back home. If you end that, I think you really end the incentive for immigration on whole without having to do a single thing other than change your policy.
You certainly would remove some of the incentive. Look, I think there's a huge amount of disinformation regarding the Big Beautiful Bill. The most important thing for people to understand is that if the bill is not passed, the result will be a 68% across the board federal income tax increase on all Americans. No, not just the wealthy, but on all Americans. The Trump tax cuts of his first term, which are being extended in the Big Beautiful Bill beginning in January, are the largest tax cuts in American history. And leftists like Robert Reich, who was the secretary, I think he was the Secretary of Commerce in the Clinton administration. I went to high school with him. He was wrong then. He's wrong today. They continue to falsely insist that our deficits and our inflation is caused by tax reduction. Yet the lesson of history is the exact opposite. Every president, whether it is Donald Trump in his first term, whether it is Ronald Reagan, whether it was John F. Kennedy, who did an across-the-board federal income tax cut, experienced a spike in federal revenues caused by the increase in economic activity. Our inflation and our $37 trillion deficit is caused by spending too much, not by taxing working Americans too little. It is one of the great fallacies continued to be pushed by the far left. Now, when you add to it the fact that the Big Beautiful Bill also does away with the tax on tips, which is a piece of policy genius thought up by Donald Trump himself after talking to a group of cocktail waitresses in Las Vegas when he was campaigning in the Silver State. It also does away with the tax on Social Security, provides a tax credit for those who buy a car or a truck that was made in America. There's much good in the big, beautiful bill. There's a few things in there I don't like. This portion that says that the states cannot regulate artificial intelligence for 10 years. I'd like to see that disappear in the Senate version of the bill, or in conference if it passes both houses. I think AI is extraordinarily dangerous. You can go on Truth Social right now, or X, or even Instagram, Facebook. You'll see really incredible videos of me saying things that I never actually said. You can see videos of Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Donald Trump saying things that they never actually said. And without sophisticated AI detection software, to the average person, they would actually believe what they see. So I think there does need to be some regulation of artificial intelligence. Troy, what do you think?
Well, Roger, artificial intelligence is quickly becoming the issue of our time, and the issue is going to be that we're going to have a lot of jobs here that are going to be eliminated simply because they're going to be automated by AI. And I think we have to make the decision as a society, do we prefer the comfort, the human experience over the advancement of, say, technology that we think might be detrimental to our success? We have to be able to adapt these technologies to work for humankind and not against it. I think that has a lot to do with the people in control of it. People in big tech, Roger, they took your voice away. They've taken a lot of people's voices away. And I just don't happen to believe that a lot of them are suddenly good guys because they contributed to a certain political campaign or another. I think that these people are malicious in a lot of ways, and there has to be interference from the government as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, because the technology is so dangerous and poses such a threat to our way of life. It could destroy the United States if not handled correctly. I think there has to be intervention. There has to be regulation. They want to tell you can't have a wood-burning stove. Well, how about you stop the guys that are creating the doomsday machine that is AI?
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. Back during the New Hampshire primary, somebody created an audio that was used in a robocall of Joe Biden urging people not to vote. And to the untrained ear, you would have sworn it was really Joe, but it wasn't Joe at all. It's a perfect example of the extreme dangers. And what you say is true. Every single day, somebody on X or on Truth Social points out to me yet another Roger Stone who pops up on those sites, who designs their page to look exactly like mine, but it is not me. And as I've said on the show, I was in a restaurant one night and a guy came up to me and said, "Hey, Stone, where's that crypto I bought from you on Facebook?" I said, "Pardon me?" He said, "That crypto I paid you for, I never got the crypto." I said, "Friend, I'm not only not on Facebook, but I don't sell crypto. So I have no idea what you're talking about." And he was furious. He flipped through his phone. He showed me the messages between himself and somebody posing as Roger Stone on Facebook. And I told him, "Look, you're out of luck, my friend. I didn't sell you anything, and I don't owe you anything." When my lawyers contact Facebook or Meta, when they contact even X or Instagram, they're very slow to respond. And then even when they do order the offenders to take down the faux Roger Stones, they pop up 3 days later with a slightly different iteration on my name. So instead of being Roger J. Stone Jr., which is what I am on X, I'm now suddenly Roger J.J. Stone Jr., to give you an example. So always be aware, look for the validated profile if you're following me on social media. I think social media is a great thing, but it cannot substitute for real life. It cannot substitute for spending time outdoors, spending time with your family, reading a book, the human experience. I think some people go into the world of social media and the internet, and they just never come out the other side. They begin to believe it is real life in itself. It is a great danger. We talked about it yesterday on the show with Boone Cutler. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Troy Smith, the editor and publisher at Slingshot News. I think you find them at slingshotnews.com. We'll be back. I want to get your take on the situation in Iran. I do not believe that the president's legacy will be destroyed or that his governing coalition will be disrupted as long as America does not get into a prolonged quagmire like we did in Afghanistan. And I also recognize the inherent evil and the actual intentions of the Iranian mullahs who chant death to America, death to Israel. You're in the Stone Zone. I'm Roger Stone. We're talking to Troy Smith. Whatever you do, please don't touch that dial, because we'll be right back with more after these commercial messages.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by GMC. GMC certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit gmc.com/service to learn more.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original, which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
Imagine this: the best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla Al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla Al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. We're in the Stone Zone. We're talking to Troy Smith, a media entrepreneur. He is the editor and publisher of Slingshot News. And we just talked about his stunning report that indicates that almost $300 billion is shipped out of the country by immigrants living here to other countries, to individuals and institutions in other countries, yet there's no benefit to the American people. It's a stunning report. Troy, where can people go see this report?
I want people to go to slingshot.news, and when this airs, we'll have that right on the front page so everybody can check, and feel free to share the links on any kind of social media or send to your friends, family, whoever. We need to get the word out about this. It's a hell of a story. It is a stunning story, and we appreciate your breaking it here in the Stone Zone. So the real question, we only got about 2.5 minutes, but the real question on the table, of course, is what will President Trump decide? I've already said that I will support his decision regardless of what it is. He has more information than I do. I think that he ran as a peace candidate. I think it is highly unlikely that he will mire America down in a prolonged foreign war as we experienced in Afghanistan, but he will always act to protect the interests of the United States as he perceives them. And there can be no doubt about the malign intentions of the Iranian regime. It's nice to say you're going to negotiate to keep nuclear power for the purposes of generating electricity, but I think we both realize they have every intention of developing a bomb, and whether they get it tomorrow or 2 years from now, we know who their target is. At the same time, the Iranians are a client state of China. China gets a huge amount of their oil from Iran. They don't have oil production capabilities of their own. I think it would be naive to think that the Chinese will do nothing if we end up attacking their client state. And then, as you pointed out to me this morning, for some reason, Israel allows the Chinese to operate their largest port. How or why could that be? Well, Roger, it's just dumbfounding. I mean, China has dumped billions of dollars into the Iranian economy. They're the exact reason that missiles are flying. If you want to know who's funding the missiles flying into Israel right now, it's the Chinese. I mean, that's cut plain dry. It's oil money that the Iranians have gotten from the Chinese. And yet, when you look at Israel, there is China all over the place. They operate their largest port. And not only that, Roger, just this year, in March, it was announced that the Chinese are expanding their operations in Haifa, and the Israelis have allowed that. So I think from the United States perspective, in order for I and millions of other Americans to be supportive of some kind of support for Israel, I think we need to see the Israelis take legitimate action to end their allegiance with the Chinese, the people funding the missiles flying into their country. And that would be a much more serious argument that I think a lot more people would listen to.
Yeah, I still don't believe some of the more draconian voices like Steve Bannon and others who say that it will be the end of the Trump presidency, it will be the end of his legacy. I think that would be true if he got us mired down in a long-term foreign war where our interests are not clear. Our interests are abundantly clear here, and the president is way too smart for that. I'm going to wait for the president. The signals are mixed. You read many things on social media, but until the president announces what he's going to do, I stand by the president. I will support whatever decision he makes. After all, I owe my life to him, and I trust him. He has information that neither you nor I have, Troy, or the American people. I was encouraged to hear that he was going to do a televised address, but now I see that they have not scheduled a specific time for that. But when he does, when he makes his decision, I have every confidence that he will go before the American people and explain exactly why we are doing what we're doing. Recognize this. He said 15 times during the campaign and multiple times since he was elected president that Iran cannot be and will not be allowed to have a nuclear bomb. Donald Trump is a man who believes, says what he means, and means what he says. Thanks for joining us today in the Stone Zone. Until tomorrow, God bless you and Godspeed.